Have you ever experienced that sinking feeling that your life is drifting past? While you remain a passive observer, you wake up far too late. Lose yourself in endless phone scrolling. Tell yourself you'll play just one more game. Or watch a single extra video. And promise that you will get to work in a few minutes. Yet that moment of starting never actually arrives. By the time night falls, you are back in bed, staring at the ceiling, and asking that same painful question. What am I actually doing with my time? Most observers would label this as simple laziness. They might suggest you need better discipline or improved time management habits. However, the reality is that your struggles have very little to do with how you schedule your day. What is truly paralyzing you isn't a lack of energy. It is a profound part of your psyche that is quietly terrified of growing up. The most alarming aspect of this condition is that many men never actually grow out of it. During their 20s, they drag this mindset into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even their 60s. On the surface, they appear to be functional adults, but internally, there is a juvenile part of them that descends into a panic whenever life demands. They take real responsibility. Welcome back to Nori. Today, we are going to explore the psychological landscape of the man-child. Before we dive in, I have to be honest with you. This discussion might be difficult to digest. It may cause discomfort, and perhaps even bruise your ego. But if you can maintain enough composure to listen until the very end, this could be the precise wake-up call required to finally break free from this cycle. So, what is this youthful part of you? And how does it manifest in your life? Let's begin by analyzing its psychological roots. The famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung utilized the Latin phrase puer aeternus to describe this phenomenon, which translates to the eternal boy. In modern terms, we recognize it as Peter Pan syndrome, or being a man-child. Being stuck in this state doesn't imply you lack intelligence or talent. In fact, you are likely someone brimming with creative ideas and sharp perceptions. However, your defining characteristic in this mode is an obsessive craving for total, uninhibited freedom. To you, freedom means never being weighed down by obligations, never being accountable to others, and never having to commit to a permanent path. You want to exist in a space where every single door remains open, yet you never actually step through a single one of them. Carl Jung used a very fitting term for this existence: the provisional life. Living provisionally means you constantly feel as though your current actions don't represent your real life yet. You might work a standard office job, but you convince yourself it's just a temporary paycheck, while you wait for the world to discover your hidden genius. You might live in a cluttered, messy apartment, but you refuse to clean it because you view it as a transient space, believing that one day you will inhabit a real home. You might date someone while secretly thinking they aren't your perfect match, viewing the entire relationship as a mere placeholder. Because you view everything as temporary, you never invest your full heart or maximum effort into anything. You live like a spectator in the bleachers, watching your own biography unfold from a distance. You observe the people around you, fully immersing themselves in the world. They pursue careers, experience failures, get promoted, and start families. Your mind looks at them and instinctively generates a sense of superiority. Your internal child tells itself that these people are merely trapped in a mundane rat race of bills and survival, while you are simply holding out for a more extraordinary destiny. But the harsh truth is that you choose the role of the spectator, not because you are truly free, but because you are using freedom as a protective barrier. By refusing to commit to a specific career path, you can maintain the fantasy that you have the potential to do anything. By never giving your absolute best to a goal, you never have to deal with the sting of true failure. You keep your aspirations as pristine, untested ideas in your mind, because a dream that is never attempted can never be proven a failure. The core fear hidden beneath your nonchalant attitude is a fear of actual reality. Everyday life is governed by uncompromising rules. Where does this chronic avoidance and dread of maturity originate? Why remain in a childhood cocoon? Instead of engaging with the world? To find the answer, we must look back at your history. Marie-Louise von Franz noted a startling pattern. Most eternal boys were highly gifted children. Perhaps you were the brightest student, mastering subjects effortlessly, or someone with a unique creative gift. You were showered with praise from parents and instructors, labeled as special or a future star. Those early accolades set a psychological trap. You grounded your self-worth in being exceptional, full of potential. You believed you were fundamentally different. The tragedy strikes when you reach adulthood. You must navigate real society. In the school of life, potential is no longer currency. The world cares about tangible results and grit. When you begin a new venture, you won't be an expert. You will stumble, you will face rejection. You'll encounter many more skilled people. For someone raised to believe they are special, these common experiences feel like a lethal threat to the ego. The realization that you aren't perfect, or the sting of being turned down, hurts immensely. To shield that fragile ego, your mind triggers a defense mechanism: procrastination. You tell yourself, I haven't succeeded yet, only because I haven't really tried. If I actually put in the effort, I'd be at the top. By delaying job applications or skill building, you protect the myth of your own greatness. As long as you don't start, you can still believe that you could be the best. In this context, procrastination isn't laziness. It's a strategy to avoid discovering your actual limits. Consider the myth of Icarus. He ignored the boundaries of his reality. He flew too close to the sun. He felt invincible until his wings melted. Because the heat destroyed his wings and he plummeted. You are Icarus when you mistake potential for achievement. You can fantasize about soaring in your grand plans. But if you haven't learned to walk on solid ground, if you haven't disciplined yourself through small, mundane tasks, you will shatter the moment you hit reality. When the chasm between your fantasy and your reality grows too wide, you risk falling into a self-destructive spiral, fueled by 3 common psychological traps. Trap number 1 is the constant search for tools to dull your awareness. It's natural to want to relax after a hard day. But the issue is how you use that relaxation. Whenever you feel the weight of life or the dread of failure, your instinct isn't to fix the issue, but to find a quick exit. You lose yourself in all-night gaming sessions, mindless video scrolling, or chasing cheap internet thrills. For you, this isn't just fun. It's a psychological numbing agent that helps you ignore the fact that your life is stagnant. In a video game, you can be a triumphant hero. But when the power goes off, you return to a hollow reality. You are using these short-term hits of dopamine to drown out the alarm bells of your own life. Trap number 2 is an intense fear of long-term commitment. In the beginning, a fresh situation is exciting. You are full of energy. But the moment a relationship demands responsibility, future planning, or shared financial burdens, you feel claustrophobic. You start magnifying your partner's minor flaws, obsessing over what isn't perfect, or using your personal circumstances as a reason to withdraw. Deep down, you might even be attracted to people who overfunction for you, eventually forcing them into a parental role, where they handle your emotions and duties. Over time, they end up carrying everything, while you remain the child being cared for. Trap number 3 is the victim mindset and the habit of shifting blame. The eternal child syndrome convinces you that every external pressure is proof the world is out to get you. This mirrors the story of Peter Pan, who views the adult Captain Hook as a purely evil antagonist. In your life, Captain Hook represents your employer, the rules of society, and the relentless ticking of the clock, urging you to grow up. Instead of accepting that you need more discipline, this syndrome tricks you into viewing these pressures as inherently unfair. While it's true the economy is tough, and society isn't always a meritocracy, the trap is this. If you use those facts as your sole reason for inaction, you surrender all control of your life to your circumstances. This keeps you in a land of avoidance where you feel safe. However, recognizing these traps isn't about shaming yourself or calling yourself a failure. Identifying them is about understanding your hidden enemy. And once you see it, you have the power to change. If you recognized yourself in these descriptions, what you need now isn't more guilt. Guilt might lead to self-loathing, but it doesn't foster maturity. What you need are the concrete actions of an adult. Here are 4 steps to emerge from the cocoon. Step 1. Radically transform your perspective on maturity. A major misconception of the eternal child is that growing up, it will stifle their creativity and kill their youthful dreams. They view adulthood as a cage. But the reality is the opposite. You must realize that commitment and responsibility are not shackles. They are the protective walls that allow your dreams to survive. Think about it. If someone has a gift for writing, but lacks the discipline to sit at a desk every day, that gift will vanish. If someone has a great business idea, but fears risk and refuses to learn accounting, that idea will never leave the page. Growing up doesn't kill your inner child. It provides that child with a structure and a foundation, so their ideas can actually exist in the world. Step 2. Courageously embrace being ordinary. The eternal child often sneers at mundane tasks and daily routines because they seem beneath them. To break this, you must begin performing small, boring tasks with total seriousness. Start by cleaning your room, doing your own laundry, and folding your clothes neatly. Try doing these things in total silence, without music or a phone to distract you, focusing entirely on the task at hand. Pay your bills on time. Take a standard job, even if it's manual labor, or an entry-level position, and strive to do it as well as possible. When you commit to these ordinary actions, you are grounding your mind. You are interacting with the world and realizing that life doesn't pause just because you feel unready. Step 3. Practice exposure therapy with failure, since the root of this condition is the fear that you aren't good enough. The solution is to stop avoiding failure and start inviting situations where it is possible. Pick one thing you've been putting off because you're afraid you won't be perfect at it. Maybe it's sending your resume to 5 companies or enrolling in a difficult course where you'll be a beginner. Perhaps it's apologizing to someone you've wronged or asking your boss for a brutally honest performance review. When you do this, you'll discover that failure isn't fatal. Being told no doesn't end your life. A man's character isn't built by winning in his head. It is forged by falling down in the real world. Standing back up, dusting off his knees, and moving forward. Step 4. Seek out an external structure that demands accountability. A powerful trait of the eternal child is the ability to negotiate with himself, to avoid discomfort. When things get difficult, your mind will generate 100 logical-sounding excuses to procrastinate, sleep in, or hide behind a screen. This is why, in the beginning, you cannot rely solely on your own willpower. You need a mentor, a coach, a demanding boss, or a community of disciplined men. Find people who are brave enough to call out your excuses, serious enough not to indulge your laziness, and demanding enough to expect you to follow through on your word. The pressure of a structured environment and the eyes of others will keep you grounded when the child inside wants to escape back into a dream world. These 4 steps are challenging, but they offer a practical map for returning to real life. Choosing to leave the comfortable illusion of infinite potential means bravely accepting the guaranteed bruises of a real life. It is the exact moment you trade a flawless imaginary future for a deeply flawed but profoundly beautiful present. You do not have to punish yourself indefinitely for the silent years you spent hiding in the safety of waiting. Please forgive that younger version of you who needed a protective shell to survive the overwhelming weight of adult expectations. What small and wonderfully messy truth are you finally ready to accept about the person you actually are today? If this resonated with you today, then share a quiet thought below about the authentic reality you are now choosing. The deep water might feel absolutely freezing at first, but it is the only place you will ever learn how to swim.